all I had was a gun, a bed, and heaps of drugs. That's it. Hi, I'm Spary, and this is my story. Both my parents were very young when they had me. Mum was 17, and my parents married in a drug rehab at King's Cross. They were pretty rough times. A lot of violence, a lot of difficult circumstances with school and whatnot. My parents really weren't really encouraging about school. So school wasn't on my top of the list of things to do. So I wagged school a lot. I remember when I was 12 years old, I started stealing. I would do break and enters a lot. Break and enters sometimes every night. And that's how, it was like I had an addiction to it. I stayed on this property and they grew marijuana there. I didn't know what it was at first, but it was the first time I smoked pot. And I remember that I just fell asleep. But that was the start of my drug addiction. I got pretty heavily involved at the age of 12 of the drug trade and actually having a desire to be like these people that were I was introduced to. Different things happened along that journey, like I got busted for drugs and I went to Goldman maximum security and did some time there. But I know this sounds weird, but I really enjoyed it. I felt relief in a way because I had a bed, I had meals. First place I went back to was that property and I said to myself, I'm going to steal as much drugs as I can. And I went back to my hometown and I turned up there with a lot of drugs to sell. And so I sold like crazy, but the group of people that I used to hang out with, they got involved with speed. And so that became something that I was introduced to at 18. And the first time I took speed, we went to the drug dealer's house out of town and we brought a pretty huge amount of speed and I never saw it before. I used a needle for my first time. And I was hooked. I wanted to use speed forever. It changed everything, speed did. And everything became more violent, more organised. I remember there was a period in my life where it was like living on that farm. I just stayed in my house every day. The lounge room was my world and I lost contact with the outside world even more. I never went to a shop. I never went to any family functions. I disengaged in every area of life. I felt like all I had was, if I can tell you the truth, like a gun, a bed, and heaps of drugs, that's it. And I went to myself, this is not, I got to get out. I really got to get out. I'm going to die here. I travelled 1,500 k's to come to Toowoomba and I wanted to become drug-free as well. I was 20 years old and I just couldn't get back on my feet. I just didn't know how to and so I was in and out of homelessness all those years for the next 5 years. The short story is I ended up in church. I ended up in church one Sunday and the preacher said at the end, who would like to make a commitment, make a decision to follow Christ. And my heart was just pounding like crazy and I decided that I wasn't going to do it because of all these different reasons, you know. And he said, all you got to do is come out the front, just take a step of faith. And I don't know what happened, but in me, I just took that one little step. And he came over and he asked me if I would say a prayer. and I couldn't even speak. And I just cried. I just couldn't stop crying. I just cried and cried and cried. And it was like I was letting all this out, all this anger and fear and confusion, and mainly a lot of hatred stuff. Hatred towards people, myself, my dad. And he still wanted me to say this prayer, but I couldn't. I was on the floor at this time, and like, honestly, there was snot. I just never cried like this. If I fast forward a little bit, I went to TAFE and I did a 2-year diploma in community welfare. I met my wife, Tiffany, and we got along so well, and it was amazing, and we had the same vision. We wanted to set up a youth centre.
One of our best events of the year is our base camp, where we get to be with these young people one-on-one for a whole week.
At the base youth camps, young people learn things like how to resolve conflicts at home, how to set goals, and how to trust people again. And from there, we really felt called to start a church. I believe in the people that I'm helping. Like, I look at my life, like from my background, out of my past, I can help people.